In the sleepy coastal hamlet of Gray Wave, where the sea whispers secrets to those who listen, a weathered fisherman named Eli cast his nets day after day, chasing a living from waters that grew stingier with each passing season. This isn't just a tale of a man and his boat. It's the wild, true story of how one mysterious fish tangled Eli's fate in a net of wonder, despair, and a twist so sharp it sliced through his world like a blade through water. Buckle up, because this fish didn't just change a fisherman's haul, it changed his life. And the echo of that moment still ripples through Gray Wave today. Eli was no stranger to the grind. At 53, his hands were calloused maps of a life spent hauling ropes and gutting cod under a sky that rarely smiled. His boat, the Salty Dawn, was a creaking relic, patched with hope and duct tape, bobbing on waves that tossed him more seaweed than supper. Gray Wave was a town of salt-crusted shacks and weary souls, where the fish had dwindled and the young had fled, leaving men like Eli to wrestle the ocean alone. That summer, the catches were so thin he'd started skipping meals to save for fuel, his stomach growling louder than the gulls overhead. "One good day," he'd mutter, casting his net into the slate-gray sea. Just one. It came on a Wednesday, under a sky bruised with storm clouds. The wind bit at his knuckles as he heaved the net, expecting the usual tangle of kelp and minnows. But this time, the weight tugged back, hard. His arms strained, veins bulging like ropes as he yanked the dripping mesh aboard. Amid the wriggling smelt and a crab snapping its claws, something gleamed, a fish unlike any he'd seen. It was long, maybe 2 feet, with scales that shimmered gold and green like a coin caught in sunlight. Its eyes, wide and glassy, locked on Eli's, and for a heartbeat he swore it knew him. "What in the deep are you?" he rasped, cradling it in his rough hands. The thing didn't flop or fight, just stared, serene as a monk in prayer. Eli's mind raced. A fish this rare could fetch a fortune. Collectors paid big for oddities, and the market in Port Clare, an hour's drive, was buzzing with rich folk who'd shell out for a trophy. He pictured the cash, a new net, a fixed motor, maybe a hot meal that wasn't beans from a can. But as he set it in a bucket, a chill crept up his spine. Gray Wave had tales, old ones, of sea spirits, of catches that cursed those who sold them. His gran used to whisper about a golden fish that brought luck if freed, doom if kept. "Superstition," he growled, shaking it off. He covered the bucket with a tarp and turned the Salty Dawn toward shore, the strange fish glinting in his mind like a promise. Back at the dock, word spread fast. Old Tim, the bait seller, squinted at it and whistled. "Ain't seen one like that in 40 years. Worth a pile, Eli. Don't let it slip." By dusk, he was in Port Clare, the fish still eerily calm in its sloshing prison. A buyer, a slick man in a suit with a wad of bills, met him at the pier. 500, the man said, eyeing the scales. Eli's heart leapt. It was more than he'd made in months. He handed it over, the cash heavy in his pocket, and drove home dreaming of a life less lean. That night, he slept sounder than he had in years. The sea's roar a distant lullaby. The twist hit at dawn. Eli woke to a stench, rancid, sharp, like death warmed over. His shack reeked, and there, on the floor by his cot, was the fish. Not a dream, not a trick. The same golden green scales, the same unblinking eyes, now clouded and still. His stomach dropped. He'd sold it, watched the man take it, yet here it was, dead and accusing. Panic clawed his chest. He stumbled outside, gulping air, but the smell followed, clinging like damp rot. Neighbors wrinkled their noses, kids pointed. "You stink, Eli," they jeered. He burned sage, scrubbed the floors, nothing worked. The fish was gone, buried in the sand, but its curse stuck tighter than barnacles. Days bled into weeks. The cash bought a net, but it tore on the first haul. The motor sputtered out. Fish avoided his lines like he was poison, and the stench drove folks away. Customers, friends, even old Tim. Gray Wave whispered Eli had sold a spirit, and the sea had judged him. He stopped fishing, his boat rotting at the dock, his spirit sinking deeper than the tides. But here's the kicker. Months later, a letter came. The buyer, that slick man, had died. Heart attack, they said. Clutching a photo of that fish, his face frozen in terror. Eli burned the letter, but the smell stayed, a ghost he couldn't shake. Now Gray Wave tells his tale, a fisherman who caught a miracle and lost everything. Was it greed, fate, or something older than the sea itself? Eli won't say. He just sits by the shore, staring at waves that no longer give, a man changed forever by a fish he'll never forget.